Council. Mr. City Attorney, is there any final action to report out?
Good evening, Madam Mayor. No final action tonight.
Okay, thank you. Then we will adjourn the special meeting and call to order the regular meeting of the Folsom City Council on Tuesday, May 12th, 2020. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Gaylord?
Here.
Howell?
Here.
Kozlowski?
Here.
Sheldon?
Here.
And Aquino.
Here. And if you're able to, please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, do we have any agenda updates?
You have one agenda update this evening. Staff is requesting that consent calendar item number 8 be continued off calendar. This request is being made so that staff can take this item to the Planning Commission and then bring it back to City Council.
Thank you. Krista, I know we have a couple items for business on the floor. If you could handle those, please.
Yes, thank you. You had two comments submitted by email, so I will read those both into the record. The first is from Colt McGraw, and Mr. McGraw writes, I have such an appreciation for the land that we live off of. Unfortunately, I noticed that many people haven't learned to respect and value it. I spend many hours in nature every week and have noticed a lot more littering in nature areas around Folsom Lake and Lake Natoma. I have also noticed more litter than usual on Sutter Street and in the Sutter Street parking garage, where there seems to be a lot of movement in the evening hours. I like to run the stairs for exercise. Are people actively ticketed for littering offenses? People seem very comfortable to walk away from their picnics, etc., without concern. It makes me concerned that if it is overlooked, it could only get worse or seen as normal. With so many people enjoying nature at this time, it may be smart to develop a friendly campaign that raises our consciousness to this issue to prevent the offenses. I only wish to bring attention to this issue and to be proactive in mutual respect for our common beautiful areas. Thank you for your attention and time, Colt McGraw. Your second communication this evening is from Greg Webb, and he writes, over the past year and last 2 weeks, there has been aggressive behavior, including assault on Wales Drive and in Lions Park. The foot traffic by these appearing to be transient subjects are coming from or going to Lions Park. The following examples all resulted in calls to the police from us as well as our neighbors, listed first to most recent. So much more goes unreported. Our son was yelled at and then chased down and beaten. He was knocked down and beaten head and chest. A neighbor came out of their home and interrupted the deranged man's assault. When asked why by the police, he stated that you made me spill my cereal, accusing the police and my son. Our son has a pacemaker. Lady transient observed trying to enter front door of neighbor's home. When asked, can we help, turned, walked to middle of street and threatened to kick my wife's rear end. Man walking and yelling down Wales Drive threatens my wife and I as we are entering our home, stating he will knock us down. When police respond, man rips his shirt off and rages toward police car. Officer drives around him and leaves without speaking. Man with pit bull type dog loses control of dog, which jumps up and scratches all over our passenger side door as our dog was inside. Fight at Lions Park near covered pavilion between transients. Police respond. Man screaming, walking down middle of Wales, threatening all evening walkers and vehicles. When police respond, he can be heard screaming behind City Hall and the zoo animals crying out. Officer states, yes, his camp is back there. Concerns for Lions Park as follows. Transients allowed to congregate under covered pavilion next to zoo entrance, Little League ballpark, public bathroom, near train ride, library, and playground. Mostly men will be passed out on a beautiful weekend with a full park under the pavilion or laying on the grass by railway ride with their bags and stuff all around them. They congregate there 7 days a week. We have not seen any public able to sit in this area for years now. With all that is so much truly Folsom, and now the all-new visitors to the Johnny Cash Trail, please support our new, as of February, police sergeant who volunteered to monitor the camps and transient population. Please consider the impact on the zoo animals with the screaming disturbances. With all the above happening in our original Folsom neighborhoods, I asked the police where to turn. They suggested city council and forwarded my concerns to one of their sergeants. I first called our mayor, Sarah Aquino. She took my call and was very gracious. She forwarded my letter to the city manager. And it is Krista who is helping me speak with you. It is my opinion that the Folsom Police Department has proudly protected our city and is why we enjoy one of the safest cities in California. As my wife and I married in Lyons Park in 1979, we care deeply for our community. If you need witnesses in or around the park or adjoining neighborhoods, I would be glad to speak before you. Please support our police department in these matters. Thank you. Sincerely, Greg Webb. Mayor, that concludes your business from the floor. There is no member in the audience wishing to speak.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to move on to scheduled presentations. Before we do that, I know this is going to be a lot of new information. It's going to generate a lot of questions. Once again, I'm going to ask my colleagues to hold your questions until Stacy is done with her presentation, not only so she can get through her presentation, but also so folks, anybody who may be listening or watching, we'll know which of us is asking questions and commenting. So once she's done with the presentation, I'm just going to go through the order that's listed on the council agenda, and we can ask questions in that order. So Elaine, go ahead and take it away, please.
Good evening, everyone. Before I turn the presentation over to our Finance Director, Stacy Tamani, I just wanted to make a few brief remarks about this proposed operating and capital budget for fiscal year 2020-21. This is not the budget that I intended to present to you this year. In fact, we had just wrapped the major elements of our budget, a very different budget, just as COVID-19 started to appear in California just about 2 months ago. As the world changed, our operations changed, our revenues changed, and then ultimately our planned budget had to change as well. We had to tear down the budget we had finalized and start over again to thoughtfully build a budget that anticipates most of our traditional revenue sources being down. We did all of this without a playbook because, frankly, there's no playbook for any of this. I am very proud of this budget. I'm particularly proud of our core budget team, including Finance Director Stacy Tamani, Assistant City Manager and CFO Jim Francis, and Financial Services Manager Terry Hemley for the countless hours spent thinking and rethinking every building block of this document. I am hugely proud of our department heads for rising to the occasion to make needed shifts and pivots and make them with astonishing speed and excellence. This is a budget that is balanced with expenditure reductions and use of one-time revenue sources. This is a budget that maintains our ability to provide essential services. This is a budget that maintains our workforce with no changes to permanent staffing levels. This is a budget that is set up to allow financial capacity for us to ramp up when public health and other legal orders say we can. And this is a budget that, despite many challenges, accomplishes many of your top priorities. With that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Tamani.
Elaine, I'm just going to cut in here real quick, only because we're having a hard time hearing you, at least I am. So I don't know if we can I don't know if the public is having a hard time, but you are definitely quieter than any other speaker so far, in my opinion.
It's really loud and clear on the microphones in here. Steve Wong in the chamber is confirming. We'll try to figure out what's going on.
I can hear her just fine.
Oh, you can? Okay, then maybe it was just me.
Yeah,
okay.
in fact, she might be louder than Krista.
Okay. Okay, go ahead then. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor, Council members. This is Stacy Tamani, Finance Director. Tonight I do have a presentation for you, and it was included in your delivered packet tonight and should be up on the screen for the public. So we'll just start with the cover page that says page 1. And so tonight I'm presenting the City Manager's proposed fiscal year 2020-21 operating budget and capital improvement plan. The The presentation will look at the projected general fund results for the remainder of fiscal year 20, and then go into the proposed budget for fiscal year 2021. And first, we'll look at the assumptions that help to determine the impact that this disruption has had on the city's finances. So we'll turn to page 2 of the slideshow, where it says forecast assumptions. When we brought the budget workshop to you back in February, as you know, we were working within a very different financial environment than we're currently in. And the impacts of COVID-19 on our local economy has been drastic and caused a sharp decline in our city's revenues. Because there's a lot of uncertainty as to how long the virus will disrupt the economy and how quickly we might recover, the projections for the remainder of fiscal year 20 and into fiscal year 21 have some assumptions, and I have them here on this slide. The projections assume that the stay-at-home order will continue in some form at least until the end of May, and then we will have continued restrictions. After that time, we'll have a phased approach of reopening different types of businesses and city facilities with modifications as allowed by the state and county orders. This projection assumes that we do not have a big resurgence of case that would require us to pull back our activities once we reopen, because if that happens, our figures would likely change. And it assumes that no additional stay-at-home orders will be put back into place once they've been lifted, because again, that would cause us to change our revenue projections. We'll move on to page 3. Revenue projections for fiscal year 20. So for fiscal year 20, I'm going to focus on our top revenue categories that are most impacted by this emergency and the economic downturn. And the biggest impacts are in our sales tax, our transient occupancy tax, which comes through our hotels, and our Parks and Recreation program revenues, which are included in the charges for services category. You'll notice at the top of this slide, property tax revenue has an over-under budget of 0, and we're not expecting that it would be affected in fiscal year 19-20, because the revenue that we receive for this fiscal year is based on assessments from January of 2019. So if there are significant impacts to property taxes from this downturn, we would expect to see it in future budget years. The second line, our sales tax revenues, are projected to end fiscal year 20 at about $23.9 million. That's a shortfall of $2.5 million from our budgeted number, or about a 9.3% decrease. And as you know, this is due to the stay-at-home orders that required most businesses and other retailers to close their doors beginning in late March, and this has been ongoing. It is important to note with this projection that we won't see the sales tax results of the full third quarter, which was from January through March, until the end of May. And then we will not receive the sales tax results of the fourth quarter, which is goes through June 30th, until August of 2020. So that does leave us with a lot of unknowns as far as the final results of sales tax. For transient occupancy tax, the third line down, we're projecting to end the year at about $1.7 million. It's a $627,000 shortfall from budget, about a 26.7% decrease. And what you're seeing there is pretty much a 100% decrease in revenues during the duration of the stay-at-home order. Moving down to the fourth line, charges for services, our Parks and Recreation program revenues are included in the slide item, and this line is projected to end the year at about $11.7 million, the $2.7 million shortfall from our budgeted amount. And that's primarily due to all the recreation facilities being closed, such as the Aquatic Center, the Sports Complex, and the zoo, all the cancellation of community center reservations during this time, and the cancellation and refund of recreation programming and classes. As we move down to licenses, permits, and BLS, you'll see that it is expected to be over budget by about $1 million. And that's mostly due to development activity that was going strong before this health crisis, so we brought that revenue in early in the year. We are now seeing a slowdown in this area, particularly in building permits, but we do anticipate that this would be more of a deferment of revenue if housing construction picks back up when the stay-at-home orders are lifted. Transfers in and other revenue are not particularly impacted. And down at the bottom, total revenue, we have an impact on our revenue sources of an $8 million loss in revenue by June 30th, 2020, if the assumptions that I noted earlier hold true. It's about 93.7% of budget is where we expect to come in. So we'll move on to slide 4. That's expenditure projections for fiscal year 20. So here we have the projections for where we expect the expenditures to end the year. And down on the bottom blue line, in total, we project that we will be just under budget by about $250,000. And this is mainly due to some immediate cost-saving measures that were implemented very quickly to lessen the impact that this emergency would have on our unassigned fund balance in this current year. We have savings in the expenditures for parks and recreation programs because they were canceled, so we have savings in the operations of them. We also had lower levels of operation and maintenance costs citywide. And the biggest impact is in salary savings from the reduction in our temporary employee costs. We have the savings because our temporary employees had to be released when the stay-at-home orders were put into place. We've also eliminated as much as possible all non-essential expenditures in all departments. And additionally, we have put a hiring freeze into effect, so all vacant non-critical positions will remain vacant at this time. And that allows us to realize some salary and benefit savings for these vacant positions. So salaries are expected to come in just a bit over budget, $406,000 over. And that's mostly in overtime, but then offset by the savings that I just mentioned. Benefits is projected to come in slightly lower than budget because of our savings from what we implemented right away. O&M is expected to come in over budget, and that was projected from operations that just had happened throughout the year. And then capital outlay just slightly over budget. You will see at the bottom of the slide there's an adjustment for the transit annexation. And I've put that in there because we've set aside funding for the completion of the annexation. We had some remaining payments that needed to be paid in fiscal year 20. We set that aside so it doesn't affect the unassigned fund balance. So I wanted to make sure that this was a comparable expenditures from budget to what we're projecting so that you could see that we're planning to be under budget by the $245,000 or be at about 99.7% of budget at the end of the year. We'll move on to slide 5, where this puts the whole picture together. So in the right-hand column, projected fiscal year 19-20, we have the revenues coming in at about $86 million, and then we have our expenditures at 94.5. You reduce that by the adjustment for the transit annexation of $2.9 million. That gives us a change in fund balance right now of about $5.5 million. So we had at the end of fiscal year 19 an unassigned fund balance of $17.4 million, and with this projected change in fund balance of a negative $5.5 million, it leaves us with an unassigned fund balance of $11.8 million, or 12.5% of expenditures. So that's a brief summary of where we expect the general fund to land as of June 30th, 2020, and it gives you the framework for what our starting point was to put together the fiscal year 2021 budget proposal that you have before you. We'll move on to the next slide, slide 6, and begin the introduction of the budget. As Elaine, our city manager, mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, this proposed budget is not what we had hoped to be able to bring you before this health crisis occurred. But because of your thoughtful and deliberate contributions to the city's rainy day fund, your capital investment fund, and also various internal services funds, we're able to present a budget that, although is not as robust as we might have had pre-COVID-19, it still addresses many of your top priorities. As we began the process of putting together this revised version of the fiscal year 2021 budget after the COVID-19 emergency began, the focus was on maintaining our core services and minimizing the use of our reserves. We'll move forward to slide 7, balancing the budget. So how did we balance this budget in light of the economic challenges we're facing? I think it's important to take a look at where we started when we were putting this new version of the budget together. Over on the left-hand side, it says preliminary fiscal year 2021. We had baseline expenditures of $93.5 million, and that was just to do what we had been doing. And then a corresponding revenue projection of $93.5 million. So this was all before the start of this emergency. It was a balanced budget at $93.5 million. We now had to take into account about a $7 million reduction in sales tax, transient occupancy taxes, and parks and recreation program revenues as a result of COVID-19. And that's in that second column, revenue reductions, about $7 million. We also had about $3.3 million of critical additions that we wanted to add to the budget. They encompass many of your top priorities as we had gone through those preliminary budget workshops earlier in the year. And mostly they are capital in nature, so we have another specific funding source available to fund the project. So we wanted to include those. And because we were assuming a $5.5 million use of unassigned fund balance to finish out fiscal year 19-20, we wanted to take steps to avoid the use of any additional fund balance and to preserve as much of it as possible. In order to do that, we had two mechanisms: reduce expenditures, of which this budget proposes a $7.2 million reduction, and to use one-time revenue sources, this year in the amount of $3.2 million. So those were the next two columns there: expenditure reductions, 7.2, and one-time transfers in of about 3.2 million. So that gets us to our proposed budget, 89.5 million. And at this point, it is balanced with no use of unassigned fund balance right now as we're presenting it to you. I'd like to move on to page 8, expenditure reduction strategies. This proposed budget includes many short-term cost-saving strategies that will be implemented immediately, but they're flexible enough to allow us to ramp up our programming and services as the public health orders and our general fund revenues allow. These savings were accomplished with strategies such as reducing department budgets for temporary staff by about 50%. These temporary positions will not be filled until public health orders allow for it and programming needs call for the additional personnel. No new positions were added in any department. We are keeping vacant positions vacant except for critical positions by implementing a hiring freeze. This budget reduces all department O&M by about 2.3%. There was a deferral of some capital investments that were considered non-essential at this time, such as some vehicles. And this budget also includes a reduction in Parks and Recreation operating costs by about $1 million related to the facilities that are closed and the reduced operations during this public health emergency. Now, this budget's unique because it does include that large reduction to the Parks and Recreation programming budget, and that's due to a lot of variables as to when and what level we'll be able to reopen these programs. So as the economy improves and the public health orders allow, our intention is to return to the council really regularly so that we can be requesting supplemental appropriations to this budget at that time to allow us to open facilities and bring back some of the temporary canceled programs and also some of the additional staff that may be needed to get those programs back up and running. And doing this will very likely require us to use some of the unassigned fund balance at that point in order to implement the program. So we'll have to be very careful in executing the reopening plan. Move forward to slide 9, the major expense categories. We'll start off with the proposed expenditure budget for fiscal year 2021. Included in all these figures are those critical budget additions and our expenditure reductions, and I'll go through each category. Starting with the top line, salary expense will remain flat compared to fiscal year 20's budget. In our preliminary estimates before this health crisis, we estimated that the budget for this line item would increase close to 6% from the prior year, and that's due to salary increases per the various labor groups and other salary increases. We were able to offset this increase with a reduction in the part-time and temporary staffing. As I mentioned, all temporary salary budgets for fiscal year 2021 have been reduced by 50% across all departments. And as I also mentioned earlier, we put that hiring freeze into effect that will continue through fiscal year 21. So this means that all vacant, non-critical positions will remain vacant, and that allows us to realize salary and benefit savings related to those positions not being filled. These cost-saving measures allowed us to see a reduction in our increase in salary expense from initial estimates of a 6% increase down to just a 1.3% increase year over year. Moving on to benefits, we'll see an increase year over year of about $930,000 or 3.4%. But due to the hiring freeze, this is down from a 7% increase that was originally estimated. The operations and maintenance budget is where you'll see the biggest cost savings, and this is due to a combination of that 2.3% reduction in department O&M budgets across all departments in the general fund, and then the significantly reduced programming budget for the Parks and Recreation program. The budget for Parks and Rec assumes that programming would not be up to full capacity until late 2020 or early 2021, depending on the program. And so that assumption is in large part why we plan to return to you regularly, because there's so much uncertainty as to when we'll be able to resume programming. And although there'll be an increase in revenue for some of those programs, the offsetting increase in expenditures in order to run the program would likely require an appropriation for use of the unassigned fund balance. The fourth line, capital outlay, is up from the prior year. It's a combination of two things. We did have the deferral of some general fund investments, some things like vehicles, about $800,000, and that was part of our $7 million in expenditure reduction. But then we had an addition of some large capital projects that will be funded from other revenue sources, and I'll detail that in a bit, but it is included in that line item. And then debt service remains consistent with no new debt added this year. So comparing year over year, fiscal year 20 to 21, we have a reduction, $2.3 million, or 2.5%. We move on to slide 10, general fund appropriations by department. This is the same figure, same ending number, $89.5 million, but it is sorted by department. And year over year, comparing the fiscal year 20 budget, as I mentioned before, we have the small decrease of about 2.5. This one I just wanted to point out for culture and recreation, which is our Parks and Recreation. They did have that $1 million reduction in their operating budget, but the capital projects that I mentioned before are included in this line item, so they actually have a slight increase in their budget because the capital projects offset their reduction in their O&M. We can move on to slide 11. This is general fund appropriations by department in the chart form. On the left, you have fiscal year 20, and on the right, you have fiscal year 21. And I wanted to put them here so you could compare them. Fire and police are on the right side in the blue and orange, and you can see that they pretty much still make up about 50% of the general fund. Culture and recreation is in the green, 16% last year, 17% this year. And the various other departments and divisions have pretty much the same allocation that they had in previous years. So we were able to propose a budget that still maintains that historical balance of expenditures by function. We move forward to slide 12. This is the chart of authorized positions. And as I mentioned, there were no additions to authorized positions in this budget, so total positions have remained flat at 452.5 positions in total across all funds. Moving on to slide 13, we'll start looking at revenues. So this slide has revenues for the past 4 years, and then the proposed figures for fiscal year 20 and 21 in the far right column. I'll go into each of these in a little more detail in the next slide. We are projecting a total revenue, including those from transfers in, to be at $89.5 million. But I would like to point out, if you go up to the first blue line, that you can compare the fiscal year 19-20 projected revenue of $79.2 million to our fiscal year 2021 proposed revenue numbers, and you'll note that the revenue before transfers in will be nearly flat. And if you compare it to fiscal year 18-19, it's about a $5.4 million reduction from that year. If we move forward to slide 14, these are our major revenue sources. And it shows the projections for fiscal year 20 on the left side, which we already went over. And then I thought that it was nice to look at fiscal year 21 estimates pre-COVID-19, which is that next column, and then what we're proposing now for each of these sources. Property taxes on the top line is expected to remain stable at this point and increase over the prior year by about $2 million. As I mentioned earlier, the revenue that we received for fiscal year 21 is based on assessments from the year before, so it's January of fiscal year 20, and before the COVID-19 downturn occurred. So we're not projecting housing prices to be severely affected at this point. And if there are impacts, then we'll likely see it in a future budget in property tax revenues. For sales taxes, they're estimated to come in about 4.6% lower than fiscal year 20, So it's an additional decrease and about 1.1 million. And this is related to projecting that there's a continued disruption in the retail sector into the summer months. For transient occupancy tax, the tax that comes through our hotels, they're estimated to take the biggest hit, percentage-wise, about a 50% reduction from fiscal year 21 initial estimates, and then an additional 27% reduction from where we think fiscal year 20 will end. And this is anticipating that they'll have 2 quarters of disrupted business as people get back to their routines of traveling and holding large events such as weddings or conferences at the hotels when they're allowed to. And then our final revenue category that we anticipate to have large impacts is our charges for services. This is a $2.5 million decrease from our initial estimate, went from $13.7 million down to $11.2, and a further $500,000 decrease from the fiscal year 20 projection. And this is mostly all due to reduced program revenue in Parks and Recreation, their facilities being closed, rentals for the community center, use of the aquatic center, being able to use the full use of the sports complex, and then all of their other programming revenue. And again, this is a projection with many moving parts, but as we have more information, we'll be bringing these revenue projections back to you along with the request for additional appropriations for programming. Can move forward to slide 15. And this is a chart with the general fund revenue trends. So here you see the trends for our major revenue sources. Property taxes is in blue, sort of the top line, moving upward at a consistent pace for now with the information that we have so far. Sales taxes in dark orange, taking a big dive at the end of their line down for fiscal year 21. We have charges for services with the gray line in the middle, heading down in fiscal year 20 and 21. Transfers in are the yellow line towards the bottom, and you see a big spike up for fiscal year 21, and that's due to the one-time revenue transfers in that we did to balance the budget in this year. And then the intergovernmental revenue at the bottom blue line is fairly flat. They're not as impacted by this economic downturn at this point. Moving forward to slide 16, budget enhancements. So what is included in this budget? As you recall from our February budget workshop and the workshops in the weeks prior to that, you came up with many top priorities. And of your top priorities, the fiscal year 2021 budget addresses many of them. This budget appropriates $1.6 million for the next phase of the Aquatic Center pool renovation and $350,000 for the replacement of the activity structure, which is a few lines down. These will be funded from the capital investment and general capital funds. We are planning to move forward with this project immediately, and you'll likely see a resolution for approval for an update to the design contract for the pool in a meeting very soon. The plan for this project is to make the best use of the time that the pool is required to be closed and get the renovation completed by December of 2020 so that we're ready to reopen when the public health orders allow us to do so. The second line there, we have a fire station renovation, also has an appropriation in this budget of $300,000 from the general fund and then an additional $1.2 million from the Fire Capital Projects Fund for renovation of Fire Station 38. There is an $830,000 set aside in this budget for the expansion and remodel of the police facilities. This comes from the Police Capital Fund. We have, I mentioned the $350,000 already for the activity structure. Then we have $310,000 of grant funding for the community development permit counter redesign. Moving down, this budget also appropriates $150,000 for the community center roof replacement from our capital investment fund. We have a $120,000 allocation from our park equipment capital fund to start working our way through the park maintenance needs. And lastly, $35,000 for funding for light rail station cameras in the historic district. Moving forward to slide 17. This is your unassigned general fund balance. We've talked a little bit about it, and here's the chart showing the fund balance by year in the orange, and then the unassigned fund balance as a percent of expenditures displayed by the blue line. I went back on this chart to 2008 because I think it's important to see how our fund balance was used in the Great Recession. We saw very much an elongated U-shaped recovery from that downturn. This time around is uncertain, and it may be more of a sideways kind of L-shaped recovery where we see the sharp downturn and then a flatter straight line because the expectation is that we would have flatter growth in future years compared to the growth that we saw following the Great Recession. Again, these projections are based on the assumptions that I spoke about at the beginning of this presentation, where the stay-at-home order is lifted soon and we have no resurgence of cases that would require drastic measures such as another shutdown, because that would change our projections. And I would like to note that this projected unassigned fund balance for fiscal year 21 is based on no use of unassigned balance, but as we talked about, we will very likely need to use some of it as we begin to bring programs back online and as revenues do not come in as projected because there's so much uncertainty as to when and how the economy will begin to recover and really what consumer spending patterns might look like in the future. So I'd just like to give you an example. If we, right now, we're projecting we'd be at about 13.2% at the end of fiscal year 21 if we didn't use any of the unassigned fund balance. But let's say we need to use $1 million of it. $1 million would bring the balance down by an additional 1.25%. So we would go from 13.22% to about 11.97. And if we spent another $1 million, it'd be about another 1.25%. Moving on to slide 18, we're now moving into the budgets for the enterprise funds. We'll go through their revenues and their proposed appropriations for water, wastewater, and the solid waste funds. So moving to slide 19, we'll start with water. The proposed budget for the Water Enterprise Fund for fiscal year 2021, in the right-hand column there, you'll see includes about $15.9 million program revenues. That's a 6% increase over fiscal year 1920's projected year-end results. The proposed budget below is about $14.2 million for operations and an additional $4.3 million for capital expenditures. That leaves the fund with projected working capital of about $15.4 million. And if we move to the next slide, slide 20, here you have the water fund's program revenues indicated in blue, and then the operating expenses in orange. And the gap between them indicates what's available each year to invest in capital projects without dipping into working capital. So right now, the water fund typically has about $2 million per year that they could use for capital investment without dipping into working capital. But generally, they have capital requirements closer to $4 to $5 million per year, so it does require use of some of their working capital. And the gray dotted line at the top of the chart reflects the actual working capital balances for the fund right now. And as you can see, this fund is in good shape at this point. We'll move forward to slide 21. This is wastewater. The proposed budget for the Wastewater Enterprise Fund for fiscal year 2021 includes $8 million of program revenues. It's about a 14% increase over fiscal year 1920's projected year-end results, partially due to additional counts and then their new rates. The proposed budget is $5.5 million for operations and $6.1 for capital expenses, and that leaves the fund with a projected working capital of $9.5 million. We'll move forward to slide 22 to look at their chart. Again, the blue line is their program revenues, and then operating expenses are in orange, and the gap between them is what's available each year to invest in capital projects. The wastewater fund usually is about $2.5 million per year between revenue and expenditures, but generally they've been saving up and building capacity to do larger projects like this current budget, and then it requires the use of some of the working capital. As you can see in that gray dotted line, that's reflecting the working capital levels for the fund. We saved up for a couple of years up through fiscal year 20, and now there's a proposal to use quite a bit of the working capital to do some projects in this year, so it brings it back down. So at this point, the fund's working capital is in good shape. Move forward to slide 23. This is Enterprise Fund Solid Waste. The proposed budget for the Solid Waste Enterprise Fund for fiscal year 2021 includes $12.9 million of program revenues. It's about a 7% increase over fiscal year 1920's projected year-end results, mostly due to the new rates that were implemented this year. The proposed budget is $12.6 million for operations and an additional $1.5 million for capital expenses for vehicle replacement. And that leaves this fund with projected working capital of about $4.2 million. At the end of that year, with the working capital at $4.2 million, that does drop them below the generally accepted level for working capital. They would need about a minimum of $4.7 million with their current capital needs and expenditure budget. Move on to slide 24 and take a look at their chart. Here you have the program revenues indicated in blue at the top, and then operating expenses in orange. But the small gap between them is what's available each year to invest in capital projects without dipping into working capital. For solid waste, that's about $300,000 to $500,000 per year. That's what the gap is. But their vehicle requirement is quite a bit more, $1.5 million plus each year for vehicle replacements. And the gray dotted line reflects their working capital levels for this fund. As you can see, it just continues to go down as the gap has gotten smaller between revenue and expenditures in recent years. So this fund will continue to be on our watch list, and especially as additional requirements for their organic programs are rolled out in the near future, and as operating costs go up related to that, and also to costs related to recycling programs. So that finishes up enterprise funds. We'll move forward to slide 25. This is your appropriations by fund for all funds. So in the first column, you have the fiscal year 20 adopted budget. That was last year's budget. And now you have fiscal year 21 proposed budget. For the general fund, $89.5 million. For enterprise funds, $46.4 million. For all the special revenue funds, a total of $12 million. For debt service funds, $13 million. Capital project funds at $10.9 million. Internal service funds at $22.5, and your fiduciary funds at $18.6 for a total of $213 million total appropriations for all of the funds. Move forward to slide 26, and we'll start on the capital improvement plan and give you a look at the plan overview. And that was also included in the documents that you are receiving tonight. So moving forward to slide 27, this is a look at the major projects that are proposed for fiscal year 2021. There are more, but I just put the major ones in here on this slide. I won't read the amounts, I'll just read the projects. So you have your water treatment plant capacity upgrade, your sewer evaluation and capacity assurance plan, the Capital Southeast Connector project, Benevento Family Park, the Folsom Plan Area Neighborhood Park number 3, Natoma Alley Rehab and Replacement Project, Street Overlay and Pavement Management, Greenback Sewer and Lift Station Improvements, the Fire Station number 38 remodel, Water System Rehab Project number 2, the Aquatic Center Pool Renovation, and Willow Creek Estates Storm Drain Lining Project. Those are the major projects for fiscal year 2021. If we move forward one more slide to page 28, this is the project funding by source, and it shows, depending on the category, which source is paying for it. You'll see for the most part, the wastewater and water projects are funded by enterprise funds with a little bit from impact fees. For most of the other projects, funded by impact fees. And for our streets and transportation projects, those come from other transportation funding that's not an impact fee. That gives you a summary of all of the funding sources for these projects. Then we'll move forward to slide 29, get to the last part of my presentation here. It's the 5-year budget forecast. Be looking ahead, fiscal year 2022 through 2026. To move forward one more slide to page 30, and we'll start with where the economy is now and what we think the future will bring. Looking forward comes with a lot of uncertainty, and at this point, we're projecting for U.S. GDP growth. For fiscal year 20, we'd be at about 1.9%, but for fiscal year 21, only a 0.1% increase. The U.S. unemployment rate, projecting right now for fiscal year 20, is up around 14.7%, that we would likely come down by the end of fiscal year 21, somewhere around 5%. California unemployment rate, again, is up very high for fiscal year 20, maybe around 20%. And then for fiscal year 21, coming down to around 4%. And we would project Folsom to be lower than the California unemployment rate once California gets down there, if it follows the typical trends that Folsom has done in the past. We expect home prices to remain stable. especially as things start to pick back up in the upcoming year. And we would project building permits to pick back up when stay-at-home orders are lifted. Again, this economic outlook really depends on our assumptions being correct that the stay-at-home order does not last much longer than the end of May, and that there's no resurgence of the virus that would result in an additional period of stay-at-home orders. Then these projections would likely change if something like that were to occur. We'll move forward to slide 31. These are the major financial and budgetary pressures that we'll see in fiscal year 22 through fiscal year 26. We have the CalPERS rate increases, and there's a lot of uncertainty due to the economic downturn as to what these increases might end up being in the future. The second line there, building our capital investment fund for current and future needs is a concern. We're using a lot of it for projects in this year, and so we need to be building it back up for the future. Our sales tax and TOT revenue is a pressure. We don't know where it will end up. Our non-tax revenue growth is something else we need to be monitoring. And our active and retiree health care costs are also an expense that we need to be monitoring. Moving on to slide 32, taking a closer look at the future trend of the CalPERS contribution. This is showing our contribution due to actuarial assumption changes. The CalPERS investment performance over the past several years has been mixed, up and down. There will likely be some impacts on performance from the downturn in the stock market related to the COVID-19 emergency, but we don't know exactly what that will be until after June 30th. That's when they go ahead and do their calculations, and then in future budget years, we'll see the impact of that. And because these declines that happen in the performance of their funds are paid for by our employer contributions, if there's declines, then our contributions go up. So this means right now we already know that we have at least $1 million increases or more to our general fund contribution through fiscal year 23. So we think that this would likely continue with this trend into the future. Moving forward to slide 33, this is the 5-year forecast for the general fund. For fiscal year 21, those are the numbers that we've already gone over. The balance of revenues and expenditures at $89.5 million. And then for fiscal year 22, we're projecting tax revenue, which is the top line, to increase from fiscal year 21 by about 6%. And that's assuming some recovery in the retail sectors, and then we would expect to see increases moving forward from fiscal year 23 through 26 of around 5%. For non-tax revenues, we expect about a 7.5% increase over fiscal year 21, and that's on the expectation that we get our programs back up and running and that our facilities are open. And then moving forward for fiscal year 23 and forward, about a 4.5% increase in those years. Transfers in will project a 3% increase in each year. So in total, from fiscal year 22 on, it's about a 4.7% increase in revenues each year. That's what we're projecting at this time. In the bottom section here, we have expenditures at varying degrees of increase. So expenditures at 3.5% on the top line, expenditures at 4% in the middle, and expenditures at 4.5% at the bottom. And what we're looking at here is that we're projecting a revenue increase through fiscal year 26 in total of about $20.7 million. And depending on the level of increase in expenditures, we could have anywhere from an increase of $16.8 million, which would be below our forecast for revenues, or upwards of $22 million, which would be above where we think revenues would come in over the next 5 years. We move to slide 34. This is represented graphically, and our revenues are depicted by the blue columns. And then we have the various levels of expenditure growth indicated by the lines, the yellow, the gray, and the orange lines. Of course, the yellow line is 4.5%, the gray line is 4%, and the orange line is an expenditure increase of 3.5%. And what this is really showing is that only at the 3.5% expenditure growth do we stay within the revenue levels for all of the years. As we move forward and revenues continue to grow, the expenditures may be within it, but it just gives you a good picture of where our limitations are and that we really need to keep expenditures down because we have limited ability to grow our revenues. Move forward to slide 35. These are just some cautions that we should be looking to the next 5 years. As I was mentioning, revenue enhancement options are limited and they're dependent on the economy, so we really have to be controlling our budget from the expense side. In the gray box there, non-tax revenue is a concern that must be continuously monitored and addressed, and we'll have to be adjusting our expenditures accordingly. Sustainability depends on managing our staffing costs. We're a service organization, and that's our biggest expense. And then our budget is constrained due to these other three comments, and so that really leaves us with little excess to set aside each year for capital investment projects in the future, and really for our general levels of maintenance. Move on to my final slide here, slide 36. And in summary, the goal of this budget was to prepare a structurally sound budget that gives us the flexibility to ramp up when it's time to do so. This budget, as presented now, is balanced by implementing expenditure reductions and using one-time revenue sources, and it allows for the opportunity to strategically use the unassigned fund balance as necessary as we go through the year. It maintains our ability to provide essential services during the COVID-19 emergency and beyond. It maintains our workforce with no changes to permanent staffing levels, and maintains that historical pie chart of expenses by function. And lastly, and very importantly, overall, this is a very solid budget that, despite many challenges this year, still accomplishes many of your top priorities. And with that, I'll conclude my presentation and ask for any questions or comments.
Stacy, first of all, excellent presentation, very, very thorough and very easy to follow. So thank you for that. I'm sure I speak for all the council and the public. So Roger, you're first on the list. You have any questions for Stacy?
Hey, sorry. Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, I just want to say thank you for everyone, and I don't envy your positions right now, especially having to probably redo this thing like a billion times to get to where you are today. So with that said, I wanted to go back to the slide number 16. You don't have to go to it, but it's the budget enhancement slide. You mentioned, and I'm just clarifying this, that this was the list that we submitted as potentially being something we wanted as council to add to the budget. Is that correct, or is that something else?
Yeah, in some of the conversations that we had in January and February, we brought many of your ideas back, and there were a few slides that we had put together that had all the budget enhancements. And so this, of course, doesn't encompass everything that had been asked for, but because we do have other funding sources that can pay for these capital projects, these were many of the capital projects that were the top priority, and so they could be included in the budget.
Okay, I don't remember seeing a lot of these things. Yeah, sorry. I don't know if you can hear me okay, but I don't remember seeing a lot of these on there. That's why I was curious. So like the aquatic center pool replaster, do we know like 1.6, is that something that's got some time on it, or is that like something we need to address now?
So Councilmember Gaylord, if I could address that, and I may ask our Parks and Recreation Director, Lorraine Paggioni, weigh in as well, but you may recall that we've already replastered one side of our aquatic center, which was in dire need, and we still need to do the other side of it, and so that is something that we feel needs to be done very quickly, and we would hesitate to defer that because it could put us in a position where, for example, we'd open for a season and then have to immediately close due to safety issues. So Lorraine, is there anything you wanted to add to that?
Thank you. No, actually, thank you. I really think that the timing is perfect given the fact that we could potentially be closed for a little while. This is like a seize the moment opportunity for us to take care of the side of the pool where the instructional and the activity pool structure is. And once we're given the opportunity to actually open the revenue generating side of the pool, which is the 50-meter pool, which you already did approve and allowed us to complete, I think that's a good suite of opportunities where we can continue to get some revenue and then renovate the other side, which is the more recreational side.
Okay. Thank you. And I mean, I just wanted to ask that because it's a big ticket item. So obviously when we're talking about the, you know, what we're going through right now, wherever we can consolidate and you know, push out just a teeny bit, that's, you know, obvious. But as far as the other two questions I had were, you know, besides reviewing this even further, but the, we talked about initially the PERS offset by paying it early, as well as the possibility of a battalion chief. Is that, I haven't gone through the fire tab yet on the budget that we got today, but is that still something that's included in there, or is that part of the new positions model that you're pushing on here?
Council Member Gaylord, as far as the battalion chief position goes, we did not include that in this budget. We had actually intended to include it, but we feel that given our very constrained general fund, it was not responsible to recommend new positions at this time. And as far as the PERS payment model, kind of the same reasoning, we didn't feel like it was the best decision to basically use such a big chunk of cash at this time to do that in a one-time payment. We really wanted to be sure we stayed as liquid as possible, and Ms. Tamani can add anything else to that equation.
No, that's exactly right. Putting that big investment into it forward right at the beginning of the year, we just want to make sure that we're liquid throughout the year and that our cash flow is good. So it's been not included in this budget.
I would really like to see somehow, some way to fit that battalion chief position into this budget. I mean, I know you were trying hard to put it in there, and I think not having it in there somehow, I don't know, for me, it's something that I think we desperately need as far as in Folsom Fire, and I don't know, I would like to see that, and I get the staying liquid part of it, but at the end of the day, like, when do you change that model to realize that source of revenue for that, you know, positions like that? So, you know, obviously we need to go through this thing a little bit more, but I appreciate it, and those are just my thoughts on it.
Thank you, Councilmember Gaylord. And just to be clear, we agree the position is sorely needed. As Ms. Tamani shared in the presentation, this will be a unique budget year because we intend to return, you know, easily by the fall and perhaps even before that, depending on how quickly we're allowed to reopen programs and you know, and any changes to public health orders. And as soon as we feel like revenues allow, for example, we may recommend adding in, you know, a new position, for example. But at this time, we just made I made a blanket decision not to add any staff because, of course, as you understand, it's not just a one-year expense. Once you add an individual, you're ideally responsible for that individual for every year thereafter, and we just want to be really careful with all of the unknowns in the economy right now. But it is fluid, and we will be back to you.
Okay, Carrie, do you have any questions or comments?
Carrie, are you muted by chance? We're not hearing you.
Yes, sorry, I was muted. And we know I don't do mute well. So on page 3, just a comment that a number of property tax bills, I don't know that they did it with residential, but I think they gave a leeway period for both residential and business after it was due. So I think we need to be cautious about when that property tax money is actually going to come in. I also want to comment that Stacy mentioned that we had 100%, we're looking at 100% decrease in the TOT tax. I know that a request came in a couple of months ago about deferring the TOT tax, and I would just reiterate that maybe that wouldn't be a horrible thing, given that, you know, there's almost no TOT tax coming from the hotels anyway. So just something to think about. Hang on, I'm flipping through here. Where are my questions now? start with the page flipping. Uh, 16 of 37. I would recommend to the Parks and Rec Department that for both the aquatic center, all three things actually, the aquatic center, the activity structure, and the roof replacement on the community center, given that they're going to have less restrictions on when they can and cannot do work, see if they'll give us see if they'll give some money back on those contracts, because basically they're shut down. So, and the same thing with community center roof. So you can't actually be working on the roof when there's activities going on, but right now there's nothing going on there. So they can go in and do everything they need to do in a matter of days instead of a matter of months, because they have to account for activities taking place at both of those locations. So see if they'll, give you some money back and get it done right away, and just pay them quick.
We're definitely making clear to them that they'd be dealing with, empty facilities, at least for the short term. We don't know what lies ahead.
Right, but I suspect that those projects, having had my house re-roofed and my pool replastered, it's a lot faster if you don't have to deal with any of those other distractions, and see if they'll give you some sort of a discount, because they don't have to deal with a whole bunch of things that when they submitted their bid, they thought they were going to have to deal with. Just a suggestion.
Will do, Councilmember Howell. Thank you.
Okay. And then on 24 on the solid waste enterprise fund, I get the vehicles, but I'm just cautioning everyone that we don't know where this whole recyclable thing is going to go, along with the organic waste. So that's something that we need to be keeping a close eye on. I know Dave Nugent's watching that, so just a warning. And my only other comment would be on 30 of 37. We don't really know what those unemployment numbers are going to look like, and they could be uglier than we're seeing right now. So just, again, caution moving forward. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Mike, do you have any questions or comments?
Yeah, a couple things. I don't want to get tagged as the guy who hates Benevento Park, but can you explain to me again what the urgency is of doing that project and where the capital funds exactly come from for it? I have commented previously that adding to our collection of parks makes our collection of responsibilities and costs for maintenance go up, and we were already testing the limit of what we could do with what we had, and I am not as optimistic about our revenue bouncing back as this forecast projects. So is it the right time to add to our collection of parks?
I understand, Councilmember Kozlowski.
And I'm with Mike on that. I'm with Mike on that one.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Councilmember Kozlowski and Councilmember Howell and
Yeah.
Councilmember Kozlowski. I know you have expressed that before, and I've specifically discussed this with our Parks and Rec director. We would be 2 years out, really, from the park opening if we, executed basically immediately. So 2 years out from any maintenance costs. But I will have Ms. Paggioni address that directly in terms of that timing and the funding source for this park and why it can and cannot be used for other purposes. Lorraine?
Yes, thank you very much, Elaine. So, yeah, it's there's a lot of moving parts on this. The Parks and Rec master plan has identified, and it's also in our general plan, that we have a certain amount of parks per 1,000. So when our Parks Master Plan was put together, various locations of parks were identified so that we could serve our community. because of the later development of Empire Ranch, there was 6 parks in Empire Ranch that were to be developed, of which only 2 have been developed so far. And so we're shy in park coverage in Empire Ranch if we were to comply with our standard. Having said that, the funding for it is through park impact fees. So we have another element there too, that everybody that has paid for a building permit has paid a park impact fee with the notion that they would be getting a park somewhere near them. And so trying to be true to the master plan, trying to be true to the general plan is what our goals and objectives are with that. And so obviously some of the park impact fee formulas that were made many years ago have not exactly, formulaically allowed us to build every park exactly the way we had hoped, because some of those fee structures were set in place before we could, in times that we didn't want to raise any fees. But we're very comfortable and confident that the Benevento development is the right thing to do, given the impact fees we have collected so far, the commitments and promises to that community we've made so far. You're absolutely correct that there is ongoing maintenance, and that's just part of the public service and the public, service and amenities we provide, that some things don't always equate to a full 100%, reconciliation there. But there is a huge community expectation. We occasionally get visitors at our Parks and Rec commission meetings wondering, where's my park? When are we going to get our park? I paid for my park. And so we feel just kind of on a very gut level, notion that we need to proceed with this. Do I think we'll be able to achieve the remaining parks that were on the docket for the Parks and Rec master plan? I really don't know. I think that the funding sources are very limited. So in my view, I think this might be our very, very last park that we can build north of 50, given the funding sources. And I think it will be just the right message, the right thing to do. It's an amazing site that offers not only, topography, a lake, parking, multi-use athletic fields, that we don't have anything like this anywhere in Folsom. So I think it is the right thing to do, and the funding will need to be cobbled together, but I think it's definitely something that's needed for the city of Folsom.
Well, I appreciate all of that. I remain skeptical that our revenues are going to bounce back in the way that this budget forecasts in future years. And I just feel like we're in a hole, and adding maintenance responsibilities right now is digging the hole deeper. So we can put that aside for the moment. Overall, I think the budget as presented is good work, okay? I just am pessimistic that we'll about whether or not we will have a rebound in COVID cases and end up with restrictions on business activity for a long period of time. And then I guess on two things that are linked together in my mind, and they may not really be linked together, but with regard to the possibility of there being another bite of the apple with CARES recovery funding for cities and for the state of California. And I'm asking you hypothetically, if you were to, Elaine, ask for, or Stacy asked for funding from the feds to patch some of the holes that have been created here. What is it that you would ask for, just out of curiosity?
That's an interesting question, Councilmember Kozlowski. First of all, as you know, we're really struggling to get any certainty that we would ever have those dollars to spend. And it was actually reaffirmed to us recently that the CARES Act funding specifically would go to the county, and the city would not receive a direct allocation. We would instead continue to benefit from county health and social services, those that relate specific to COVID-19, but not necessarily, and not at all actually, a direct grant to the city of Folsom. As far as what we would use it for, if we were, handed that kind of money, I guess that we would use it to make sure that we have less impact on our rainy day fund, just plug these gaps overall, just use it to really bolster every department so that we're not leaning on our rainy day fund, and that we could keep that as whole as possible. But it is just so hypothetical at this time, and I spend a good part of my day researching and advocating for getting our hands on a penny of that money. So if we have, if given that challenge, I will rise to the occasion to spend that money. But right now, we're not seeing that money in our future.
Yeah, and that's why I asked hypothetically. But there's talk of another bill in Congress specifically for states and cities, is what it's what the news said. So I guess preemptively, if there is an opportunity to recover some of the costs or some of the losses that have occurred, I'd like us to visit the rate increases that we approved not too long ago. And aside from solid waste, if we have an opportunity to plug these holes a little bit in that way, I'd like to see us try and slow down those rate increases so that a direct benefit to the residents here in Folsom can happen.
We've talked about some models along those lines, and I appreciate that feedback.
Yeah, that's the total of my comments. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Ernie, you have questions?
Well, not no real questions. I think the work that's been done on this and the presentation, both are outstanding. And I think it's what we thought was going to happen, but we don't know how serious this virus that we're still dealing with. So I think this is a very good step. And I think the Park and Rec Director explained the reason for Benevento Park, as well as I could even comment on it. Thing I would say, it's been around a long time. That park's been sitting up there, which is not uncommon. And Mike, to your argument about why Bill did that, that's not a new argument. That was sort of an argument of Eric King for quite a while. Okay, so that's understandable that you would look at it that way. But there's never no easy. Now, as far as the aquatic center, if you don't get it done when you really got to get it done, it's going to cost you twice as much, because it's going to collapse and then we have to rebuild the thing, and we don't want to do that. Okay? Now, I look forward to reading the binder and looking into the actual input from the department heads. But I think it's scary. And in my own personal position, I come in on a crisis in 08. I'm going to go out on a crisis in 20. And it's going to take a lot of effort on the part of staff and all the 3 remaining plus the new people who will come in to get over this. But you can do it, because we got over the one in 08 pretty well. And Carrie, you must be a victim of torture, because you're going to get both of them. But I say this is a good first step. I think we do need to look into the book some more But only one thing, Roger, you mentioned about the fire marshal, the fire chief. I want to point out that the revenue that we lost a lot of money to Park and Rec, because no aquatic, no sports complex, child care, everything. Most of that is funded by part-time help. And we, when they closed us down, we let the part-time people go. Remember, once it starts coming back a little bit, where we say we have a hiring freeze, that's permanent. But for part-time, we're going to have to look at the departments that are really exist on part-time, and that is Park and Rec. So I just throw that out for consideration. But I think the work that's been done has been tremendous, and I'm sure we're going to get it done, and then we're going to make it fair.
Okay, thank you, Ernie. I just have a couple comments. Some of them have been mentioned already, but I'm also wondering if the property tax revenue is a little bit rosy, because I believe there is no penalty now for paying your property tax late. So I would imagine, some folks hadn't paid them yet when they were due April 15th and probably will not be paying them for some time. So I'm wondering about that. Let's see. Stacy, as far as the enterprise funds, what you were showing for their budgets, have those been adjusted since what you were originally planning, like back in January and February? Because I know, businesses are able to call in and get if you were a full-service sit-down restaurant, now you're only doing takeout, maybe you've called in and you've gotten your bill reduced or whatever. Is all that being taken into account?
Yes, that's all being taken into account.
The only other thing about that is that the city's bills are not being reduced. The only bills that are being reduced are regional SAN. The city is not reducing our water bill or the sewer bill. It's only regional SAN that is doing the reduction.
Is that correct?
Ms. Tamani, maybe could you please explain our utility relief programs, what we are offering?
Sure. So what we're offering for water rates, people can call in and get on a payment plan, so that can help them to do that. We also accredited many accounts with deposits that they had on there. We had security deposits on many rental accounts. So that has helped many people, but that didn't reduce our revenues. But you're correct, Mayor, that for the wastewater, they can call in and ask for a reduced rate, but it hasn't been significant enough to create a big decrease in the program revenues for wastewater. Solid waste did have a decrease in a lot of their pickups, and that's been accounted for in the program revenue forecast.
Okay, so it's not significant enough to make a dent, but it's not just regional SAN that's reducing the rate. The City of Folsom rate has been reduced in some cases.
Only if you call in and say that because we were a full-service restaurant and now we're doing only takeout, we should qualify for this lower rate. Where regional SAN did across the board to all customers, ours is more on a just case-by-case basis for the businesses that have been impacted.
Got it. Okay. And then
but Sarah, again, the city has actually reduced the amount on the solid waste stuff because if they have no waste to pick up, so I misspoke there. So the city is giving some people a break on that, but regional SAN has reduced the bills for wastewater. The portion of the bill that goes to regional SAN that's on the city's wastewater bill, they're reducing it by a minimum of 50%, predominantly for restaurants, because they're not sending any waste to the plant.
Okay. As far as Benevento Family Park, I had made a note also because, I think last budget cycle we had said, hey, let's put this on hold. I guess my question, Lorraine, is I understand what you're saying, that, park impact fees were collected, we owe people a park, but if there's any doubt as to whether you're going to build the other 4 parks in Empire Ranch, it seems to me that Benevento and Nisenan and McFarland are pretty close to each other. If we're limited in the number of parks, if we're only going to build 1 or 2 more parks in Empire Ranch, wouldn't it make sense to do one of the parks over on Empire Ranch Road and spread them out a little bit more?
Thank you, Mayor Aquino. Actually, that area is identified as the most lacking of the Empire Ranch area, so for this type of park. The only other parks in Empire Ranch that were left to be completed are smaller parks, dog parks, and smaller sort of neighborhood parks. So this actually fills the void of the larger community-type park that's needed in this area. There is a great little graphic that I'd be happy to share with Elaine to share with the council, but it shows kind of a heat map of the voids, and this area of Folsom is definitely one of those voids.
Okay, thank you. And then I wanted to reply to something that Councilmember Gaylord said, because in the past I have supported the idea of making a lump sum payment to CalPERS in order to realize that savings. I understand why we don't want to do that now, because we need to have that, the cash flow. But I would disagree that any savings achieved should be used for personnel. I think any savings that is achieved by making a lump sum payment should be put aside in a trust, similar to that we have for our retiree health benefits, to pay for pensions. If that's where the savings comes from, then that's where it should be applied, in my opinion. So, okay, if there are no other questions or comments, again, Stacy, excellent job.
Actually, Sarah, I just wanted to let you know I agree with your comment that if we get to a point where we're going to make that extra payment, and again, it's a one-time savings deal, but if we were to do that, I would agree with you, it should go to pension.
And hey, this is Roger, and my point isn't the fact that it should go to a specific allocation. My point is the fact that we should realize the savings. It's not a one-time savings. It's a savings every single fiscal cycle. So it's something that we would not be paying. So whether that goes toward, as a council, we decide towards something to Mayor Aquino's point, or something else, the point is we realize the savings. So that's what I meant by that.
Okay, and again, I think the savings was maybe a couple $100,000, and I understand not wanting to tie up millions of dollars with a upfront payment right now. So, okay, good discussion here. Thank you very much, Stacy. We will move to the consent calendar. I know 8 is being set aside for now, going back to the Planning Commission. Does anybody have anything else they want to pull?
I'll move consent.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Doesn't sound like it. Okay, we'll go ahead and call the roll, please.
Councilmember Gaylord?
Yes.
Howell?
Yes.
Kozlowski?
Yes.
Sheldon?
Yes.
And Aquino?
Yes. And if you could call the next item, please, Krista.
Okay, your next item this evening is public hearing, item number 11. This is resolution number 10428, a resolution of the City Council approving the issuance by the California Public Financing Authority of multifamily housing revenue bonds for the purpose of financing or refinancing the acquisition and construction of the Bidwell Place apartments. Tonight you have Senior Planner Stephanie Henry making your presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Stephanie Henry with the Community Development Department. So this public hearing item before you this evening is pretty straightforward and therefore it does not include a slide presentation. As indicated in the staff report, the City Council is being asked to adopt a resolution that would approve the issuance by the California Public Finance Authority, otherwise known as CalPFA, of multifamily housing revenue bonds in an amount not to exceed $20 million for the purpose of financing the acquisition and construction of the Bidwell Place multifamily project. As you recall, the Bidwell Place project consists of 75 100% affordable units. This project was actually approved by the Planning Commission earlier this month, and it expands on the recently constructed mixed-use Bidwell Point project. It's actually located kitty corner to Bidwell Point on the Bank of America site. And as basically the second phase of Bidwell Point, this project will have similar architecture, and both sites will have shared pedestrian access. So in order for all or a portion of the multifamily housing bonds to qualify as tax exempt, the city must conduct the hearing under what's known as the Tax and Equity Fiscal Responsibility Act in order to allow members of the public to speak either in favor or against the issuance of tax-exempt bonds. So if approved, the next step will be for CalPFA to submit a bond application to the California Debt Limit Allocation Committee. I'd also like to point out that the debt for the bonds issued by CalPFA will not be a debt or a financial obligation to the city. And with that, I conclude my presentation, but would like to know that both developer and a representative from CalPFA should be on the line and available to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, are there any questions for Stephanie?
I'll move the resolution, the ordinance rather.
We need to open the public hearing first, so hold on to that thought. If there are no questions, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak?
You have no request to speak on this item.
Okay, then we will close hearing. Carrie, your motion?
Yep. I
there a
move
second?
the resolution.
I think I heard a second in there, right?
Kozlowski, yes.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
I think
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Gaylord,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Kozlowski,
Yes.
Sheldon,
yes.
and Aquino.
Yes. Okay, thank you for hanging on the line for those who are on that for that item. Next item, please.
Thank you.
Your last discussion item this evening is new business item number 12. This is resolution number 10433, a resolution of the City Council confirming emergency order DES 04-20 issued by the Director of Emergency Services. Tonight you'll have City Manager Elaine Anderson presenting.
Good evening, everyone. As I reviewed with each of you by telephone recently, in my role as your city manager and also your Director of Emergency Services, I issued emergency order DES-04-20 on May 1st, 2020. You should see it as attachment 2 in your packet for this item, which is on page 205. Just as a review and in brief, my emergency order DES-04-20 stated that we opened a series of parks and recreation amenities, including athletic fields, ball walls, pickleball courts, playgrounds and play equipment, tennis courts, volleyball courts, the dog park, and the Andy Morin Sports Complex for non-contact, non-league play. Contact sports, including soccer, football, and basketball, are expressly prohibited. Social distancing must be maintained, and it is strongly encouraged that privately owned sports equipment be disinfected by the owner. We also ask that those recreating in our parks take personal responsibility for sanitizing equipment and structures before and after use. Masks or face coverings are strongly advised if you feel 6-foot distancing between you and others might accidentally be encroached upon while recreating. Cloth face coverings or masks are required to enter the Andy Morin Sports Complex, and users must bring their own sports equipment, as none will be provided by the city at this time at that facility. This emergency order also allows for the suspension of portions of our Folsom Municipal Code so that we can help businesses get back on their feet in this crisis. This includes allowing curbside pickup for restaurants and retailers on city-owned property. You'll notice we've already set up for that along Sutter Street. It also includes relaxing our sign ordinance to allow for more signs for businesses, increasing the local contract preference for Folsom's contract process from 5% to 25% to give local businesses a better shot at our business, not allowing public works projects to take place during normal business hours if they're disruptive to local businesses, and other measures. I greatly appreciate the support of this emergency order that you expressed to me when I shared its content with you before issuance, and consistent with the municipal code, which dictates that such emergency rules and regulations must be confirmed by the City Council at the earliest practicable opportunity. I respectfully ask that you approve resolution number 10433, a resolution of the City Council confirming emergency order DES 04-20 issued by the Director of Emergency Services, and I would be happy to answer any questions. Thank you for your consideration.
Any questions for the city manager?
If there's no questions, I'll move the ordinance, the resolution rather.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. It doesn't sound like we have any questions. Could you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Gaylord,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Kozlowski,
Yes.
Sheldon,
Yes.
and Aquino.
Yes. Thank you very much. Moving on to city manager reports.
Good evening, everyone. Sacramento County adults 18 and over can now get tested for COVID-19, even if they are symptom-free. To get tested, residents will need to complete a screening survey online. Once the screening is done, participants will be able to make an appointment at the CalExpo mobile testing site. The testing is free, and to find out more, you can visit projectbaseline.com. As I mentioned earlier in the emergency order item, retail and restaurant curbside pickup zones in Folsom's historic district have been established on the following roadways with specific zone designation for coordination between customers and businesses. And those include Sutter Street between Decatur and Scott Streets, Riley Street south of Sutter Street, Wool Street north and south of Sutter Street, Decatur Street south of Sutter Street, and Gold Lake Drive north of Liedersdorf Street. And you can see a map of curbside pickup zones on our website, and food or merchandise must be picked up within 15 minutes. And we strongly encourage you in these times to please patronize our local businesses as much as possible. The Folsom Environmental and Water Resources Department is urging businesses that are reopening after a prolonged closure to flush all their water lines in their building to ensure water quality and proper operation of the plumbing system. Water that has remained in pipes and not used during the mandatory shutdown can have poor quality, lack of chlorine residual, and become the source of waterborne illnesses. All non-residential customers, including commercial properties and schools, are urged to flush the stagnant water before using it. Customers may still drop off documentation for permits and other submittals at City Hall. However, we encourage you to use our great breadth of online resources. The City of Folsom Community Development Department offers streamlined web-based platforms for commercial and residential planning, building, engineering, and tree permit applications and plan review. Through Folsom's e-plan review, customers can submit digital applications and plans directly to the city electronically without having to leave their home or business. The e-permit center serves as a one-stop site for applications and review of building, planning, engineering, and tree permit applications. Please find out more on our website. Share your city pride and visit our website to download backgrounds for your video conferences. You can also add a video chat service as available. The City of Folsom has more than 650 acres of city-owned open space, and just over 300 of those acres are weed abated annually to help reduce fire hazards. Weed abatement work also takes place within the city's landscaping and lighting districts, in and around parks, and along the many miles of recreational trails. Weed abatement work is already underway in some areas. And if you're interested in seeing the schedule, please visit our website, and you can also call the Folsom Fire Department at 916-461-6315 for more details. And that's all I have this evening.
Okay, thank you. Roger, do you have anything?
Yeah, I was going to actually maybe set some time aside with yourself and city manager to discuss the possibility of a resolution from the council, but given the fact that we're still waiting for the county to update us regarding businesses in phase 2, I'll wait until we see that before I mention that. So with that, I have nothing else.
Okay, Carrie?
Not that I've left my house very often, given that I haven't even put gas in my car in 2 months, but when I have left the house, everybody is still speeding. It's great that we're not getting any emails about traffic congestion, but please slow down. And with that, just congratulations to staff for an amazing, amazing job that they've done with the budget for the coming year. And I appreciate all of the folks that have been working so hard. Elaine needs like a long vacation when this is over and like no phone calls.
Thank you, Councilmember
Thanks
Howe.
to all the staff that's been working so hard, and great job on the budget for the coming year.
I'll pass along those.
That's all I have.
Thanks. Thank you, Carrie.
Okay, Mike?
Just one quick thing. We had our SACOG committee meetings last week, and at the Innovation and Government Affairs Committee, we had a somewhat contentious discussion of a request by a bunch of public works directors around the county to convert some of the transportation funds that SACOG issues every year for projects to a formula distribution, so as to allow cities to do a little bit longer range planning and be relieved of having to compete for funding every single year for what otherwise have already been deemed worthy projects regionally. So there are some long-serving SACOG board members from other communities that are fearful of returning to a formula-only distribution, which was how a lot of the transportation funds were distributed back in probably the 80s and 90s. That has not been the case for a long time, and I think the pendulum has probably swung too far towards a competition model. So I've been advocating on behalf of our public works director in our city for a conversion of some of that funding to formula so that we can plan our projects a little bit more thoughtfully and farther out. That is an ongoing discussion that will come up at the main board meeting next week.
Thank you, Councilmember. Thank you, Councilmember Kozlowski. We really appreciate you advocating for that. It could really help us to be able to control our own destiny locally, which is very important. So thank you.
Yeah, and then
great job, Mike.
One other thing. Yeah, thank you. And then just one last thing. I have been around the house so much in the last 8 weeks that I have noticed that the bottle brush plant in the neighbor's yard, which hangs over my fence and allows squirrels to get on my roof, has gone through an entire blooming cycle and is now starting to look a little bit sad. So I'm going to trim it. Heads up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ernie?
No, not tonight. Thank you. I just want to assure you all I'm still trying to get back. It's a long journey. It was not expected, but I'm still walking the road.
Good, Ernie. We can't wait to see you.
I know. I can't wait to see all of you. I can't wait for like a really, really, really long, boring meeting in person. But Ernie, if you need anything at all, just call me.
Thank you.
I'll bring food. I'll do whatever.
Thank you.
I'll go grocery shopping, whatever you need. Just let me know.
I got my son doing all of that right now.
Well, if Ernie Jr. wants a break, I'm happy to help out. Just let me know.
Thank you.
Okay, and I don't have anything to add, so it's 8:08, and we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.